Hello everybody and welcome to FreeSpirit-TV Information Beyond Mainstream. Today I'm very honored to present to you Ole Dammegard. Ole is truth seeker, codebreaker, peacemaker, author, international speaker and leading expert on false flag operations. Over 30 years of his life he has been dedicated in researching many of the global conspiracies like the assassinations of JFK, Martin Luther King, John Lennon and Lady Di, as well as the terror attacks of 9/11, Norway, Oklahoma City and many more. Today I'm very excited to talk with him about false flag operations in general and how we can help prevent such planned massacres from happening.
Hier noch eine Nachricht in eigener Sache. FreeSpirit-TV ist eines von mehreren Projekten des FreeSpirit-Bewusstseinstrainings. Dieses Training ist ein hervorragendes Konzept für Menschen, die einfach mehr vom Leben wollen. Wenn du dich nach etwas sehnst, sei es, dass du noch glücklicher sein möchtest oder reicher, gesünder oder nach einer tollen Beziehung, wenn du dich beruflich auf deine Vision konzentrieren und noch so einiges anderes verwirklichen möchtest, dann empfehlen wir dir von ganzem Herzen das FreeSpirit Bewusstseinstraining. Du findest es unter www.freespiritinfo.com. Ah ja, und noch etwas. Da immer mehr alternative Kanäle im Internet unterdrückt werden, wissen wir nicht, wie lange wir dort noch senden können. Für den Fall, dass die uns das Licht abdrehen, sei vorbereitet und abonniere daher unbedingt unseren Newsletter auf freespirit-tv.ch. Danke und schön, dass es dich gibt.
How can you do this to us? They can and they do. So, but you say, I would never do that. No, because you're not a psychopathic killer. I have that from CIA whistleblower Chip Tatum because I asked, I said, I do not get the mentality behind these things. Yeah. And he said, the only reason you don't get it is because you're not a psychopathic killer. His words. If you were, this would make perfect sense to you. So what these psychopaths have done over generations is to handpick people, like-minded people, in key positions. Take, for instance, the Bilderberg group that was created in '54 in Oosterbeek in Holland. The idea was how to control the world without the world knowing what's going on. How do you do that? Back to the old Romans, psyops. You know, how do you do it? You have to be able to do it invisibly, pull the strings without anyone knowing who is pulling it. So the way they do it is they focus on a country and they just say, okay, which key people in which key positions do we need to control? And then they invite them to these meetings. And once they get there, it's sort of like low-level drug dealers like Bill Clinton, for instance, Arkansas governor, deeply involved in mass murder. Anyone that likes Bill, very sorry. Or Hillary, sorry, Hillary.
Right.
These people, he was like a low-level governor in Arkansas that was part of the whole drug deal Iran-Contra scandal together with George Bush Sr., another monster, if you want to see a monster, George Bush Sr., oh my God. Boy George, a joke. Senior, heavy duty. But anyway, they felt that Clinton, no morals, no nothing, good looking, he could present himself well, say things that they wanted him to say, get the sympathy going if needed. So he was brought into the Bilderberg meeting, Tony Blair, the same thing. 2 years later, boom, president. This is how they do it. If you come in and you show loyalty, you show, I've got no backbone at all, I will just bend over and do whatever you say to me, if you just make me rich and famous, whatever, you're their guy. And that's how they do it. So they focus on politicians, royalties, judges, police, but also bankers, industrialists, and so that through these key positions, you can't pull the whole thing off because then it would be too obvious. But you can do like this, so that we, the normal people, are like,
nothing happened.
I'm not feeling too well. Things are not going to. Well, the next election, that's going to be better. Change. Great, yeah. The thing is that if these people have already been invited, like Annie Lööf, for instance, in Sweden, she's groomed for the next one. They're still like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? It's Annie Lööf. Now they're trying to, because it's so unreal that she will be it, because there's no logic behind it except that she's totally corrupt. So now there's all of this and then they will bring her in again. Annie Lööf is the next one, just like Tony Blair. I knew 2 years before that Tony Blair was going to be the next one. I knew 2 years before Bill Clinton came up. Once you start seeing how the game is played, it's not like, oh my God, he won.
No surprise.
The system is rigged. And unfortunately in most countries now, because they've specialized on, they've focused on many years on concentration of power to fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer. And there you go.
And how about Switzerland?
I know very little about Switzerland, but what I do know is very smelly. There's a lot of bad karma in this country and in the banks, in the vaults. What's in it? What has made Switzerland so wealthy? Not good. Not good. Nothing to be proud of. Beautiful mountains, beautiful people. What's behind it?
Not so good.
Not so good. And then it's neutral. Isn't that nice as well?
Yes, that's why I'm asking. It's always so quiet. Everything is
so nice. Sweden as well.
Yeah, right.
Oh, should we be part of NATO or not? Well, you joined NATO in 1954, but not on paper. But should we join? You already have. So, no, it's the lid off, smelly.
Okay, let's talk about something else. No, I'm just kidding.
No, please.
What are the typical characteristics of a false flag operation? Are there some
Okay, how a false flag operation works. It's the thing with the false flag is you have to understand the attacked one is actually the attacker. So the victim is actually the attacker. That is a false flag. So it's a psychological operation for you to believe that it's that. Meaning that with these alleged terror attacks, we can go into these because that is one of the things I really specialized in. Something happens, boom, oh my God, how horrible, how horrible. Switzerland is under attack. You haven't got a lot of attacks here, but France is under attack. François Hollande. Oh, we must stand united in the face of terror. The attacked one is the attacker.
Okay.
That is it. Hollande totally in on these operations, not the one, the mind behind them. He's just a puppet playing part of the whole thing. So you got. We're back to the old Romans, because through all centuries, there's always been a small little group of people that have thought, the rest of you suck, I want you as slaves, kiss my feet, bend over, and pay me for ruling you. How do you do that? How can a few people, especially like in the old days when there was no telephones, no internet, no post, mail, whatever, how can you control an empire if you're walking around in a white sheet and a banana leaf on the head and whatever, saying, "Hail Caesar"? Would that impact anyone in England? Well, it did. So how did they do it? They were the ones that came up, I think, they were the ones that refined the methods of how to do it. And it's only through psyops, back to the psychological ones, through fear. It's only through fear. So how can they keep people fearful? Because the thing is, if you are in harmony, if you are happy and safe, and I am your empire, and I say, go kill that person, you would just laugh at me and say, why on earth would I do such a thing? I would go over there, enjoy my life, be creative, and leave me alone. But if I scare the shit out of you and say, go kill that, because for your protection, you will do it. Or the chances of you doing it is a lot bigger. Or, they're so nice as well, if you don't follow order, I will kill you. For no reason except for doing as I say. So that's another nice one. So, psyops. So we got the old Romans, they came up with, they don't have that many, which is good news for us. They have divide and conquer, meaning they're the problem, But what they're trying to persuade us is like, it's we are the problem.
Yeah.
And they will tell me, you are the problem. They will tell you, I am the problem. It's the Muslim, it's the Christian, it's the Hindu, it's the blacks, it's the white, it's the racist, it's the... Instead of seeing, what is happening here? Why do we have this problem? Because of... No, it's them. It's them. Divide and conquer. It's a very, very classical one. So they try that. This is also one of the main reasons for this mass invasion of immigrants now, is to dilute, dissolve nations and make us point at each other. Yeah. It's their fault. If you have a problem with immigrants, stop bombing their countries. Just a gentle little suggestion. If you don't want them refugees, stop bombing the bloody thing out of there. Stop killing them. They will happily stay at home. But it's by design. It's the George Soros Purple Revolution. And I've been aware of this mass invasion since 1996. It's been planned for a long, long time. Not a surprise. Anyway, so divide and conquer. Then you have diversion. Every time there's an operation, boom, something over here. So everyone will go, what the hell? And then that's when the actual thing happens.
I see. Yeah.
You know, I did one presentation in Denmark once where I had a ladder. I had a ladder next to the stage, and I had a whole bunch of balloons behind the audience, and so everybody was staring at me. And then I was talking about diversion, and the second I said diversion, they blew up all of these balloons. They just and everybody turned around like this. At the same time, I changed shirt and ran up and stood on the ladder. So when people like, oh, well, it was only balloons, they turned back. Where is he? He's up there. And it was like I said, how did I get up here? Am I dressed the same? What do you know? Everybody was distracted by it. And in all operations, there's this boom, military operations, political operations, whatever, boom, people look that way. When people look that way, I look this way. You know, I don't care about the smoke and the bomb and the whatever, I'm here. What's going on? What's going on? Same with the newspaper. Bill Clinton blowjob, White House, months and months. What's going on? Do not look there. What is actually going on? That is where it's happening. And then everybody's like, oh, well, at least he's good looking. He's lying all the time, but good looking, so we forgive him. Not understanding your country has just been raped. You have been invaded in areas you have no idea about. The whole USA was, well, we can go into this, but the whole crack epidemic was started with key people. Some of the key people was Bill Clinton and George Bush Sr. that then started the war on drugs with Nixon also. I mean, same thing. So diversion, divide and conquer, and then we got the main one, false flag operations, but problem, reaction, solution. This is key to understand what's going on in the world. So how do they do it? The few in power secretly create a problem. Nowadays, it would be a mass shooting, a bomb, a terror attack, alleged terror attack. Every time I say terror attack, please put the words alleged before, because there's so few real ones.
Okay.
I say after all of these years. It could be a virus scare, Zika, the Ebola. They have these jingle names, you know, so you remind them. Because if it's a terror attack and you want a one-time scare, you will have some weird name like Abdul Kala, but that will not work if you have to spread it. Because if you hear it and you have to tell your neighbor, you should be afraid of, what was his name?
Doesn't work.
Well, it was no. So that doesn't work. But if you need a longer going thing, then you go for the jingle name. Like Zika, Ebola virus. All of them, when it comes to the virus, come from CDC in Georgia, Atlanta. It's the Center of Disease Control that was created right after the Second World War, together when OSS turned into CIA. NASA was created also, Operation Paperclip, the export of German Nazi scientists, all of them, and then started these companies that are now center of this whole mayhem. So Virus scares, financial crash, bombs, mass shootings. These are the trends today. Boom! Why? Problem, reaction, solution. What are they looking for? Boom! Mm-hmm. They don't aim at old, ugly guys, cows, tractors, old people's home. No, they need to go emotional. That is what they want. So it's women, children. That's standard because, oh my God. Women, children, nuns, if they want to add to the whole thing, nuns, nurses. If there are men involved, depending on what the aim of the operation, could be war veterans, but that's normally not the case, but vicars or priests, you know. Doctors sometimes also because they're so cute. Yeah. So they go emotional. That is the thing, because what they want, boom, problem, reaction is like, they don't want us to think, they want us to just go into a reaction. Oh my God, that's awful, that's awful. And problem, reaction, then we turn towards the people we think are there to protect us, not understanding that it's actually them who created the problem, saying, please, please protect me, I need protection. And they will then say, well, the only way we can protect you with this horrible problem and boom, in comes the solution. And that solution every single time is the same. You give up your liberties, you give up your freedom, you pay for all of these crap. More and more surveillance, more and more cameras, no privacy, more and more militarized police, robocops, body scanners, backscatters, you name it. I mean, soon they will have these horrific machines in libraries and pizzerias and whatever, and you are being x-rayed all the time, also activating cancer viruses that are latent in most of our bodies. You know, not good for us, all of this radiation. Yeah. Okay, so the solution, every single time, or give up your guns. If it's a mass shooting, give up the guns, because they totally specialize on countries where there's weapons. So the mass shootings will always occur in the US, more or less. A few times in other countries, but they're like ridiculous. But they do it also to get on a global scale. So if it's, now we have the whole wave of stabbings in Sweden, Norway, England, a whole wave. Are they real? I think not. Many of them are absolutely not. They're just staged events.
Staged events? Does it mean, sorry, that people get killed there at all, or?
This is another one. I'm going to come to that one. But the reason I believe that this wave now is coming, for one thing, divide and conquer, blame the immigrants, because also many of the alleged victims are immigrants or people with darker skin, with strange names. You will see over and over again. And then you have a white here and there and a child, because it's really sad. And then lots of people where they don't have the photo, they just have the name. And once you start checking these victims out, if you really start digging into it, what I've done, I've gone on location so many times, I end up with what I believe are phantom identities that are not even real, many of these. So how can they pull it off? Because we don't take the time to check it out. We don't check the facts. We just like, oh, boom, there's another one. Boom, oh, there's another one. So you just continue. It's only geeks like myself who are just
digging and searching.
Digging. So I kind of lost the thread here, but problem, reaction, solution. So this is super important to understand. And also meaning that the ones that will serve you the solutions are the ones that created the problem. Once again, a blessing in disguise, because boom, in they come. So you can just see them come in on stage because they are there in front of the cameras. We have to stand united in the face of terror. We will not bend down. No, because you did it to us. It was you who did it. So great, we tick the box. There's, I recognize you, by the way. You were there last time as well. Yep, same police district. True, Charlie Hebdo, Bataclan. Why move it when you can just 100 meters? This is one of the good things about going on location also, because you think it's like so big. When you look at YouTube or the TV, it's like, and then they came there and they were shooting over there. You go there, it's like from there to there. It's like less than a block. It's so small, so easily controlled, where all those parameters and carried out. Nobody sees anything, nobody notices, but it goes out through media.
Right.
Fear porn, I call it fear porn. So, no, that is crucial. Problem, reaction, solution. You will see it on a daily basis. Give me a newspaper, a Swiss newspaper, I will show you on a local level and on a national level. I can guarantee you, give me any newspaper, I will find you in a small scale. Whoops, that is a possible one there. Whoops, that is a possible one there. Because they do it on so many different levels to confuse us also, to keep us constantly like, I don't know.
It's very confusing, especially if you know that some of them are staged. So you never know what actually happens there. Where do they get the people from who are acting in these scenarios? This
is a great question. And you were asking about, do people die? This is a tricky one. I believe that in the old days, some 20 years ago, there was a lot of real victims. And then I'm speculating now, but there was a change after 9/11, where suddenly you had thousands of alleged victims. There's big question marks around these people as well, but thousands of alleged victims. And one of the things that you do not want to mess with is our mothers. Mothers do not back down. If their child get hurt or killed, you have a fearless individual breathing down your neck. You will see that in all the different South American countries where these coups and people have been tortured and mass murdered. The mothers, and after 9/11 there was a whole bunch of mothers that would not back down. They killed several of them. Didn't matter. They just kept coming. So somewhere there between 9/11 and the Boston bombing, I believe, was the opening for what is called crisis actors, where, and I've spoken to people that have been working with false flag operations. For them, it's just another day at the office. It's like, yeah, goodbye, darling. I'll pick up the kids tonight. Go to work. Okay, how are we going to pull this one off? Okay, if we stage this here and blame that here and then that operation this, and just another day at the office. Sometimes I believe there are what I call hybrids, real victims and crisis actors. A crisis actor is someone that is really good at lying on the floor with ketchup all over, looking dead or wounded, or being interviewed as well. They're really good at acting. I love them. They're awful actors.
That's what I feel too.
They suck. They are so bad, which is fantastic, because all the good ones, they cannot use them. Everybody with any type of talent are already being used in commercials or movies or whatever. So they have to take the absolute crap of the crap of crap actors and bring them in. And then nowadays, because of fluoride in the water and chemtrails and whatever, our concentration span, including video games and so on, has become like this. So they need to deliver problem, reaction, solution, because otherwise you might have time to change channels. Okay, so how do they do that? This is when life becomes interesting. Mainstream media, which I haven't had a TV for 15 years. I still think I'm quite well informed. But for me, mainstream media at this point, it's a serious headache for me, because it's like, whoa, that was absolutely not true. That could partly be true, possible true. That, no way. Like, anyway, so you will see it the next time something happens. Please see that as an experiment. There's been like, boom. Okay, so the media goes there. Please understand, the reporter very often part of the whole operation. And very often it's the same reporters like Cooper Anderson, these type of thing, just the same old recycling crap over and over, but looks good and works for CNN. Then he must be trustworthy. Absolutely not. Employed by the CIA, not a secret, as so many thousands others nowadays. Okay, so you have problem, the reporter, there's this witness, what happened? Interviews the witness. The witness part of the operation, important to understand most of the time. So the witness will say, oh, it was horrible. There was all of this blood, there was a head flowing here, there, dead bodies there, and babies, and they chopped the head off, whatever. Horror. Problem. That's a problem. To get people in the sofa just like, oh my God, that's awful, problem reaction. And then the solution will be presented by the reporter very often. So for instance, when the Charlie Hebdo shooting happened, you had, there were two guys that were said that they were very upset because they had made a drawing of Muhammad, which you're not allowed.
Right.
These two brothers were not upset because thousands of people innocent people were being slaughtered and bombed to death. That was not a problem, but this drawing of Muhammad. So they decided, I am having a bad day, we're gonna go and kill a lot of people. So they officially did that, and then they were taken. But there was nothing that had to do anything with airports whatsoever. So the reporter said, when problem, you know, all of these dead bodies, it's awful, it's awful. And then the reporter said, well, that just shows that we need more airport security. That was, I was like, what? When the mass shooting, the alleged mass shooting in Norway happened, the chief of the secret police in Norway, afterwards she said, this mass shooting wouldn't have happened had the population been microchipped.
But, really?
Exactly, but how do they do it? It's like when you're emotional, if you look at the commercials, they want you emotional. So it's like all of these, you know, granddad almost dying, he's out throwing rocks to his beautiful dog that is running in slow motion, you know, and it's so beautiful, and there's a sunset behind it, get the emotions going, the music, and then buy our insurance. So they get you emotional and then smack it in. Here, the exact same thing. Something awful happens, you're like this emotionally, oh my God, you don't think at all, you're totally open, and then knock it in. Microchip, that would be the solution. You're safe with the microchip. But you don't think it, it's just in your subconscious. It's been knocked down.
It's planted.
It's planted, and they just keep knocking it in. Okay, so this question about real deaths or not is a very difficult one to answer. And it sounds bizarre. I mean, how can that even be difficult? I mean, that should be the most obvious thing of all. So one of the things that happens is that, for instance, the mass shooting in Norway, first there were 89 victims dead. Okay, that shouldn't be a problem if you're a doctor or a pathologist. Body breathing, alive. Body not breathing, dead. Another one that is not moving nor breathing, dead. That's 2, and so on. These 89 suddenly went down to 69 because, no, they made a mistake.
Really? I didn't know that.
Then the 69 went up to 77. Okay, so you had, and you will see, especially when it comes to the wounded, these numbers just goes like this. So for instance, you have the alleged Nice attack, the truck attack in Nice, where a truck is said to have gone berserk and killed all of these people. 84 people killed, 202 wounded. Okay, it's said that it drove like 1.6 mile and just hit people on the pavement. Awful if it's true. Okay, so we start looking at it and we find out that actually it was not 1.6 kilometer at all. It was one block, 215 meters, because we got one guy that filmed the whole thing to start with. Question also, why was he filming before it even started? That's always a good question to ask. Do you stand and just film nothing and then suddenly something happens? No, normally something happens and you start filming. So every time that happens, question it. Then anyway, he was standing at the Hotel Westminster, and then the shooting out with the police, where the driver was allegedly killed, was outside the casino. You go in, you find on location, suddenly it's like, this doesn't match up at all. And suddenly we have a blocked off area, 250 meters, where the whole thing is played out behind bar, sort of like a metal bar area. 84 dead, 202 wounded. That is quite a lot of people. That's 286 people hit by a white truck. So you look at the truck, there's not one drop of blood. There's no blood underneath the tires. It looks crashed in the front. It's not. It's just they've taken out the grill. The front part of it has been undone. That's it. There's not a dent on the car. There's nothing. Okay, how is that possible? 84 dead, 202. After 1 week, the 202 were 303. After 2 weeks, it was 404. So I'm like, okay. So after 2 weeks, 101, whatever it is, 101 people were at home, suddenly like, I'm not feeling good. Mm-hmm. You know, I think I've broken a leg. Mm-hmm. Maybe was that 2 weeks ago when I was hit by the truck? It must have been. Right. So how can you add, I mean, a natural development would be 84 dead, 202 wounded, some of them critically wounded, so maybe it would be 88 in the end, and then less wounded. But right. Here it goes like this. You got the Manchester arena bombing, where it was a similar type of thing. Now, I can't remember the first numbers. Now it's like 700 or something.
Why do they raise it?
Because of the emotion,
right.
It's the emotion they want. Mm. Oh my God, that's so awful. 700, that's so... I need protection. But it's absolutely not true. And then you start tracking it down. Mm-hmm. And it gets very confusing because even if you're on location when it happens, I could pull off a false flag here that you would believe. There's a great one. You can go on YouTube, it's called The Red Button. For more explosive TV, watch this or whatever. Take away that one, mm-hmm. and this is how they do it. Mm-hmm. Do you know, if they had not showed that this is a commercial, what would people have said? It was, if they were being told it was a terror attack, mm-hmm. They would come, they shot, and there was all of these things. You could not tell the difference. Right. I mean, even nowadays with the whole way they set it up, it's not only crisis actors, they can also, you can rent a crowd. There's crowdondemands.com. It's a company, they're very proud of it. They can deliver a crowd if you want a rally, a demonstration, anti-abortion. They will help you write the script. They can do press conferences. They can do a gathering in local courts. They can do local authorities like group meetings where people are, what do you want us to say? Are we pro or against what? Whites, blacks, abortions, whatever. Immigration, pro-immigration, mm-hmm. What do you want us to say? Pro-Ku Klux Klan, okay, here's the script, guys, okay, and you will, or if you're a lousy pop artist and you need to get a backup, or if you're Hillary and you don't have any backup, bring in the crowd. It's just a matter of call, yeah, we need like 500 here, please, now. Okay, they fly them in, boom. Crazy. Crowds on demand. Then you got mourners.co.uk, rent a mourner. No. People are good at crying at funerals. You know, all of these, rent a mourner, you can rent them. Then you got crisis actors, where they will supply everything for you. Mm-hmm. You got one very, very suspicious company called crisis-solutions.com.
Are you an elite? Are your staged attacks not going as planned? Are your globalist agendas failing because you're using subpar crisis actors? Well, then look no further. Hi, I'm Harrison Hanks, the ultimate crisis actor. Need a medical doctor? In 18 years as a medical examiner, I've never seen anything like it. Yeah.
Is this one over the top? Is this one different?
Yeah, it's over the top. 33 children died. Do you need a grieving husband? Did a right-winger set off a bomb? Bro, yeah, we're just milling about over there. Had a massive explosion. Then I'm your man. Tired of melodramatic acting?
There's light away from the darkness. I'm just trying to figure out if he's okay.
I lost my 20-year-old, but I had 20 years with my son.
It's just tragedy, horror, and tragedy.
Or maybe you need me to tone down my good acting to match your sorry lot of wannabes. In that case, I can go from this. My name is Bobby Palmer. My family's one of the families that lost a child. To this. My name is Bobby Palmer. And my family's one of the families that lost a child. Going for the guns takes subtlety, like this. I don't know how many more need to die before the president does something. Not this.
And please, could we do something with the assault weapons?
And every one of those hands is a reason why those weapons should not be out in the general public.
Because in this kind of a situation, what has changed? Have we learned nothing?
Tired of green screen mishaps and disappearing noses? Me too.
Okay, you take it. Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want to say?
I'm green screen ready, bonded, and insured. I can morph into 1,000 different faces. I offer reasonable rates, and I have no conscience. Just pick your card to play on the world stage.
From homeless to police officer, from doctor to witness, to your ace card, the grieving father.
You can count on Harrison Hanks to push through your agenda. Regain their trust. Call Harrison Hanks for all your crisis needs. Thank you, and good luck.
På siden fortsatt. Går det bra? Pass på, sett deg det her. Og så her. Sett deg her. Sett deg der. Da vi sitter.
Den bussen der. Så skal vi kjøre ved hele bussen til sykehus.
Ok, er det noen som trenger hjelp?
Bjørn, er det sånn, sitter den langt inne? Vi tar og retirerer den bussen der, Bjørn, og så kjører vi hele pasientgruppa til... Klarer du å gå? Jeg skal hjelpe til du. Med løfteren tar vi inn i bussen.
Kom her, Faisal.
Klarer hun å gå? Hun er ikke gå. Hun går jo mot strømmen. Og så skal du stå på siden fortsatt. Går det bra?
Pass på, sett deg det her. Og så her. Sett deg her. Sett deg der. Da vi sitter.
Den bussen der. Så skal vi kjøre ved hele bussen til sykehus.
Ok, er det noen som trenger hjelp?
Bjørn, er det sånn, sitter den langt inne? Vi tar og retirerer den bussen der, Bjørn, og så kjører vi hele pasientgruppa til... Klarer du å gå?
Jeg skal hjelpe til du.
Med løfteren tar vi inn i bussen.
Kom her, Faisal.
Klarer hun å gå? Hun er ikke gå.
That is a major player. You got another one called Crisis Cast. You got Crisis X now on New Zealand. I tell you, they are connected. That I can guarantee. Then you got Circo. If you check on YouTube, there's a video called Circo, the biggest company you've never ever heard of. It is massive, globally.
Global. I just want to ask. It's globally.
It is so big. It controls airports, transportations, bus, trains, army, nuclear weapon, even the time, military, prisons, schools, the lot. The same company. And have you heard of it?
No.
No. But if you look at James Bond movies, Spectre, Serco is the real name. Serco is the one. So Serco is one. Okay. And crisis-solutions.com, I've been pointing them out for a long time. When I did that, the interview I did had like 200,000 views in 2 days. it was really, it was on an SGT report. And I pointed out their website, because this company, they are the ones part of doing this whole thing. Their website, a massive big website, went down.
Oh, really?
So then I pointed out in other interviews, isn't it a bit suspicious that we point at this one and suddenly it's gone? So I did that and boom, it's back up, but with some things deleted. But there's still one really, really interesting video. They brag about it, but it's hidden in the website. You have to know what you're looking for. It's called Crisis Cloud. Crisis Cloud. Go in there, boom, and there's scroll down, and there's the video. And that is mind-blowing, because what they say is, they call it crisis simulations. Have you played, and they call it players. When did you last play a crisis simulation? So what they do is, it's online, they can carry out at least 3 operations at the same time in up to 3 different countries, different continents. Everything you need is connection, an internet connection for players in this simulation. So they got like a tactical headquarters that is directing the whole operation. You got on the street level, the tactical force, ambulances, police, SWAT teams, all of that is their people. They've got the CEO room where people, the clients, whoever they are, government, companies, banks, defense agencies, whatever, they're there. So you got these different headquarters, and the only thing to be able to be part of this is internet connection. So you can sit on an island in Bahamas, smoke a big fat cigar, and be part of carrying these things out. Just another day at the office. But what they also have is they've got like hundreds of fake Facebook accounts, hundreds of fake Twitter accounts, all of it coordinated, and press conferences, all of it fake, including the photographers, the people standing up talking about it, fake, as part of a simulation, crisis simulations. So, and they show it in the video, they're really bragging about it, and then we can do this, and if there's any problem, like people like me turn up and suddenly start messing up and saying, hey, something is gonna happen here. I predicted 15 on international radio up to 2 months before they happened. So they can redirect, and they've got like option A, B, C, so if there's a problem here, we just redirect and we take that target. And I sadly believe that the reason why Stockholm was hit, the truck attack, was because they were aiming at Copenhagen, and I set the whole thing in motion, pointing out they're gonna hit here, 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 here. And instead it happened in Stockholm instead. But this is the way the game is played.
That's crazy. I can't believe it.
Check it out. I mean, a review,
of course, but it's just...
It's in your face.
Yes.
It is. They brag
hidden in
about
plain
it.
sight, right?
And this is one thing also. In the fall of 2014, I was starting to make a name for myself. Not that I've ever tried to, but because I think I have a wider understanding than most people, and also plus 30 years. I mean, had I been in cancer research, I would be really good at like, well, that one is not good for you, chop it off. That one is okay. You know, in this area, apparently my mind is good at this thing. So there was this insider, anonymous, who contacted me and said, you're doing great. I think he had second thoughts about what he was involved in. So he contacted me and said, you're doing great, but you're missing out on the clues. I was like, what do you mean, clues? He said, you have to become aware of, they leave hidden clues in the forensic evidence. I said, why on earth would someone do something as stupid as that? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. He said it's because the law of karma.
I see.
They fear the law of karma. And here are forces that are just doing horrendous things all the time. So their sort of karma account of bad karma is... So the way they interpret the law, according to this person, is that if they show us what they're up to, even in subtle ways like this,
then it's balanced out. Huh?
And we don't react, then the bad karma is on our shoulders. And he even added that if they show us, we do not react, and they manage to pull it off, even though as they showed, they even gained good karma, according to this individual. I was like, that is one messed up way of seeing it, but I'm not an expert. Yeah. So what I did was I started looking into it, and then boom, I started seeing, oh my God, it's actually true. And from that point on, as soon as something happens, I'm looking for the clue. Where is the clue? Where is the clue for the next upcoming one? And this is the one that had brought me into a situation where I think I'm the only one. And my last name has actually been turned into a verb. To Dammegard is to find the hidden clues and predict the next one. So you can find on YouTube. I haven't named it, but to Dammegard is. To Dammegard. Yeah, okay. I did some Dammegarding and I found this and I found that. So what happened was that this was in the fall of 2014 when I started becoming aware of it, and that was the first clue I found was at an alleged attack at a power plant outside Dublin. That pointed to Charlie Hebdo. In Charlie Hebdo, it pointed towards the Copenhagen shooting. That was the first one I predicted. I really took a big chance of looking at an absolute mess or asshole, whatever. I did, and I pointed out it's going to happen around this train station, I believe, tonight. Nothing happened. I went out on international radio, nothing happened. So I thought, well, fair enough. I mean, maybe I was totally wrong, but I did what I could, so I looked stupid. Well, I can live with that. It happened exactly 1 month later, on the hour, the exact position, so maybe there was this delay because it was pointed out. I see. Yeah. So the Copenhagen shooting then pointed towards Florence. Florence, we went out big time, or I went out big time saying, Florence, Florence, Florence. And there was a failed attack by ISIS, which is their boogeyman, their creation, in Florence. So that didn't happen. Then over the years, I managed to pick out 15 of them. And the thing that is interesting, I find, with a track record like that, I think I'm onto something.
Yes, of course.
Because that's pretty good. And I'm sure I've overseen a lot. That I have not found many, but I have found these. And in my newsletter, you can find on my website, lightonconspiracies.com. In my newsletter, you can see, this is what I predicted, boom, that's when it happened. This is what I predicted, boom, that's when it happened. This is what I predicted, boom, that's when it happened. And what is interesting is that it's not just in one country. It's not French attacks that are connected. It's NATO. We're looking at NATO, the US, and also different alliances, spy alliances, like it's called 5 Eyes, but also 9 Eyes, 14 Eyes, and 41 Eyes, which are different countries that have secret agreements of like free trading, but of intelligence, information about you and me and our security, whatever, free, and we are not aware of it. So these are the countries you will see in these networks where these operations are carried out.
Wow, and how did you do that? How did you predict, like just looking at the patterns, you were able to
No, absolutely not. No, it's it's a tricky one. It's really tricky because they change it every time. But most of the time what I found is it's normally in one photo, and that photo is loaded with things in it.
I see.
So it's like to find the one. And now the better I become at this, they've started pointing in different directions. So it's like multiples, which makes it really confusing. But bless them, I mean, they're trying. But I and other things are doing everything we can to be one step ahead instead of always being one step behind. So normally it's in one photo. And I'll give you an example. For instance, the Las Vegas shooting, the mass shooting there, very, very not true, the official story, but also very, very different and very, for me, very confusing, multi-layered. Yes. It's a tricky one, and also sometimes it feels like they're almost making an ambush for people like myself to get in and start, you know, this is what happened, that, and then they can just backfire it right in our face, so we lose credibility. Right. So that one is a tricky. But there was this photo of the alleged gunman, Stephen Paddock. Normally, there are no gruesome images. They're always very blurry, and there are no details. You can never see anything. And then this photo of where he had committed suicide were with all the details. So I was like, whoa, 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 where did that come from? And also, Stephen Paddock, the official story is that he had the number 13 tattooed on his neck here. But the body that is lying there, who has blown the top of his head off, does not have this, and has different ears. There's nothing that looks like Stephen Paddock to start up. So, okay, that's strange with his photos. But there was things in it, I just felt, there's something here. There's something that was strange. And for one thing, there were like the blood that had come out of his head. I'm sorry to go into gruesome details, but that's the way it is. Were in 2 layers. There was one that had soaked into the carpet, and then there was a whole thing that looked like ketchup poured on top, very thick. And normally when you have suicide, which is a gruesome sight, but you got like a lot of things inside the head, that is blown out. Nothing of that. Here was just blood. Then also there were empty shells. I mean, he was using automatic weapons officially. Many. I mean, the whole thing is just such BS, the official story. It's out of this world. Anyway, but the weapon he had blown his head off with was a revolver, meaning the casing will stay inside. You know, like a pistol would throw it out, the empty shell, automatic weapon, throw it out. A revolver will keep it in. And it was I think it was a Smith & Wesson that he had officially killed himself with. And you can see the revolver is there on the photo as well. But the empty shells were on top of the blood that had come from the suicide. So it's like, how is that possible? I'm just a simple-minded guy. I like logic, you know. I call it Farmer Brown logic. 1 + 1 = 2. It does not equal 17, even though if they can show it in a 3D graphic, blah, 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 with a white coat and a long title, it's not true. I know it's not. If I take this glass and drop it, I know it will not fall like that because it's just not true. That's not how the universe works. So these empty shells were on top of the blood, and I was just like, whoa, it should have been under or at least stained with blood on top of it. Like you shoot like this and you fall back, the whole thing should come on top of it. So that was one of the things like, whoa, something is weird here. And why are they showing us this photo? They normally don't at all. And so the carpet was really ugly, so dirty. And this is like a high quality hotel, the Mandalay Bay. Like with dark stripes, it looks like, you know, like a drug joint or whatever, really dirty, like gray with gray stripe, dark stripes, like somebody had just dragged some crap over the carpet. And then there were empty shells like this. But like I said, there was something about it. So the more I looked at it, I started seeing that these shells were lying so that the stripes of the carpet and the empty shells were forming letters. And so the way I saw it was like FLL, the stripes, and then FLL. And since there was an alleged shooting at the Florida Fort Lauderdale Airport, FLL is the short name for that airport, which is also called Hollywood, which I love because that was just the whole film stunt, the first one. So FLL, so I thought, whoa, FLL could point down. Then I was contacted by a woman in Florida who said, have you noticed the shape of the blood? And I said, yeah, but what? She said, it's the exact outline of the county in Florida where I live. So I looked at the map, Fort Lauderdale Airport, here, where there was another shooting just a year earlier, not even a year earlier, and the county she was talking about was right here. The shape of the blood underneath his head, and FLL. So I thought, whoa, enough for me. I went out and said, here, here, here. The next one, I believe, within this area, I circled in on the map here. And boom, the Parkland high school shooting happened. So these type of clues. Then the Parkland high school shooting, that pointed toward Dallas. But I'll show you here, like for instance, when the first Fort Lauderdale airport shooting happened, or not the first one, the second one there, I found the clues for the Melbourne car attack. How did I find that? Because there was this very bizarre individual who was being interviewed all the time, and in the background of footage, when you have to see all of it, this is why you need to be a super geek.
Yeah,
it's like
research everything.
Research everything, and they want you to look here, look everywhere else. And so there was this dude in the background with a massive big dog inside the airport, dressed like Santa Claus, in super red trousers and a fluorescent green t-shirt with what looked like a tinfoil hat, a big white beard. He was in the background, even being interviewed. Okay, so when he was interviewed, what was his name? Santa Paul. And do you know where he was from? Alaska, Nome in Alaska. Do you know what a gnome is? It's what Santa has, these dwarfs.
Ah, okay, yeah.
I have it on CNN or Fox TV, Santa Paul from Nome, Alaska. Really, really, this is a real person being interviewed, and he was there all day long and in the background. So I thought, Santa, I'm on your track. Yeah. And there's so many connection often with Santa or Christ. And some people suggest that Santa is another description of Satan. It's just they swapped the... So Santa Paul, I was looking for St. Paul, Missouri. I was looking St. Paul, Minneapolis, the St. Paul Cathedral in London. Were there any drills there? The drills are always part of these operations. The drills are there to, I can come back to that, but to prepare the whole thing, rehearse the whole thing and so on. Yeah. So I was totally trying to find the clues there, and I was asking people on social media, please help me. Santa Paul, St. Paul, is there anything here? Boom, then the Melbourne car attack happened. So where did that happen? It happened right outside the Flint train station, which is an iconic building in Melbourne. Because also they hit these places that have a national identity, emotional impact, also where tourists will recognize it, so that the emotional impact can go big. And so this is where he was doing the donuts. Do you remember the guy that was driving around? And then he took off, followed by 3 private police cars, hitting people on the pavement, they say. Yeah. But right opposite the Flint train station is the St. Paul Cathedral. So there was St. Paul that I didn't find. But there, the clues I found there was towards the Big Ben in London. So I pointed that one out 1 month before it happened. I said, please be aware, the next one, Big Ben, that was the London Westminster Bridge attack. Then and that was where Crisis Solutions came in. They were the ones doing the drill before that attack. So I came out 1 month before that happened saying Big Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben. Then that one was pointing, well, I mean, there were so many of them.
There's so many, yeah.
Then we were coming up to May, the last week of May, and the Bilderberg group that I spoke about before, every year more or less, when they have their secret meeting, which is the first week of June, they would have a diversion. There would be the beheading of Lee Rigby in London, or there would be some kind of attack here to make the media look over there. Muslim terrorists here, 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 here. So everybody will look that way. So I was out on radio saying, it's a matter of hours, days, there will be something, I did not know where, but stand by, boom, the Manchester Arena bombing happened there. So the clues there was for the Grenfell Tower fire. The clues there was from the Finsbury Park van attack. The clues there were pointing towards the attack on the Seven Sisters, the White Cliffs of Dover. I mean, it just goes on. The Bataclan was pointed towards the Brussels airport attack. The Brussels airport attack was pointing towards Nice or Paris. And so you see, this shows that I would say that I'm correct when I say that this is a global operation. Otherwise, how could Fort Lauderdale point towards Australia? How could Australia point towards England? How could England point towards Stockholm? How could Stockholm point towards Brussels? How could Brussels, we're talking
it's
NATO.
All connected.
Then NATO, that is the thing. And NATO, was created as a defense organism, it has turned into a terror tool. It is a terror tool. And I'm being born in Denmark. I'm so ashamed that Denmark has been at war for, I think, 17 years now. Really? Denmark used to be a country that was famous for love and compassion and humor and this, and now it's rape, death and destruction. I mean, come on. I normally don't get upset, but things like this, I get pissed off, and it's awful. People are dying, and we're eating red sausages and saying, "Hail Denmark," or whatever. It's not only Denmark, it's all of these countries that are being forced into this organization. And then if you try to leave, that's when they hit you over the fingers. Like Norway was just about to get out of the bombings of Libya when the mass shooting on Würtenberger happened. You know, if you try and pull out on NATO, they will hit you. Because had Norway pulled out, Denmark would have pulled out.